So it's happened again. A Formula 2 champion is left without a Formula 1 seat after the year they won the Formula 2 championship. Oscar Piastri, Felipe Drugovich, and now Theo Pourchaire all won the Formula 2 championship, but have not got a Formula 1 seat for the following season. But instead, in this year, not a lot of people are sympathetic towards Theo. There's that for a number of reasons, of his him being a third year. Maybe people think he's a bit lucky for his championship, but it's a strange reasoning. I'm going to look for it. The junior career of Theo Pourchaire. The early part of Theo's career consists of many French Cups and titles, up until 2017 when he finished third in the World Karting Championship at the junior level, finishing behind Victor Martins. And this would be his last season in karts, as in 2018 he would graduate to cars. In 2018, Theo graduated to the French F4 Championship with the FFSA Academy. But because of his age, Theo was unable to score points in the regular championship, but he also competed in the junior championship that year. In the junior series, he won 16 of 21 races and got 20 podiums as well in that category. And in the main series, he won one race at Spa and took 7 further podiums to finish P3 in the championship overall. In 2020, Theo would graduate to the F3 Championship with ART Grand Prix. This would give him an opportunity to take the title in one of the highest ranked junior Formula Championships in the world against some of the best junior talent there was. But Theo did not start off the season all well. He had a very tough time in Austria, not taking any points and finishing no higher than 13th in the first 2 races of the season. Theo would bounce back in really expert fashion, winning 2 races back-to-back in Hungary and Austria, becoming the youngest ever F3 race winner. And then from this is where his championship charge would begin, picking up consistent points and podiums, getting a podium in Silverstone, but his championship challenge really began in Spa, when he finished second in the feature race, and that, from that point on, started to close in on the Premier duo of Logan Sargent and Oscar Piastri. At Monza, Theo would begin the charge. He would then finish P2, really good P2, in the first race at Monza after getting pole, and then would finish P3 from P17 in the second race, closing into just 17 points behind the top 2 of the championship with only 2 races to go. And both in Mugello, he had every chance of winning the title. Finishing P3 in the first race was just 9 points behind with 17 available for the win. He could snatch the title at the very last race of the season. Last race of the season, Theo would be given a lifeline in this championship hunt, as Logan Sargent, championship leader, would be taken out, which means Theo would only need to outscore Piastri by 9 points to take the title. He would finish P3, giving him 10 points, 161. Piastri unfortunately finished P7, giving him 4 points and taking the title by just 3 over Theo, who would finish second in a really strong campaign for him. In 2021, Theo would graduate to the FIA Formula 2 Championship with ART Grand Prix again, which again would allow him to compete for the championship and race wins and podiums and everything that he needed to impress the Formula 1 teams to get a potential seat for 2022. And Theo would start off the season in Bahrain, a track he'd never driven at. He'd done very well, qualifying inside the top 10 in his first F2 qualifying session, getting himself onto reverse grid pole for the sprint race. Unfortunately, it was cut short because of an engine failure, which would become a common theme from this race. Theo would then bounce back from the weekend and score 2 points finishes in the next 2 races. Very solid first weekend. But the second weekend was at Monaco, the track he grew up next to. It was an opportunity to really show himself to the F1 teams, and he done exactly that, becoming the youngest ever F2 pole sitter of all time, and then on the Sunday, becoming the youngest ever F2 race winner ever. Theo had a lot of high moments throughout the season, but also had a lot of low moments during the season, like breaking his wrist in Baku. He then had a Silverstone weekend, which was only 6 weeks after he broke his wrist and was amazingly in the car. He had a very poor weekend still scored plenty of points, but it wasn't really that good. But Theo would bounce back in Monza in July. He would take his second win of the season in the sprint race, climb a P4 in the feature race, and would be in P5 in the championship with only 9 races to go. And in Sochi, Theo would have a very, very good weekend, qualifying third, finishing P5 in the first sprint race, and finishing P2 in the feature race. Very solid, very, very good points for the championship. And then Theo would have a second low point of the season. Having a big crash in the first race at Jeddah, and he was the first one to admit it was completely his own fault, spun out on his own, and that was the quality of a champion that he's shown for his years, able to admit his own errors. But he would then have his biggest moment of the season, where Theo would have a stall on the line in Jeddah and be crashed into from behind. Theo, after that crash, was struggling to breathe, couldn't feel his legs, and had a really sore headache. He was maybe sure it wasn't even sure he was going to race in Abu Dhabi. He did race in Abu Dhabi and finished P4 in the feature race. Finished the season 5th in the championship. Had a really good season. He was very, very proud of what he'd achieved. And he was gifted something else. A test in a Formula 1 car around Hungary in July. It was a very proud moment for Theo. It was very public. Everyone really knew about it. And Theo stayed in F2 for 2022, giving himself a platform to go and potentially get an F1 seat for the following season. In 2022, Theo would stay with ART in F2 for another season, and Theo would have a much more difficult campaign, as he would win the first feature race of the season in Bahrain, and win the third feature race again, but he had so many engine failures. He had two in Jeddah, one in Bahrain, one in Abu Dhabi, and then another one in Spa. He would overall finish second in the championship, runner-up again, this time with 3 wins, one more in Hungary, again. Despite all this, he would also have an FP1 session with a Formula 1 team, with Alfa Romeo, who he was part of their academy. Theo would do very well in this session, set some really good lap times. He would stay with the Sauber Academy for 2023 and would stay with ART for a third season in 2023 as well. But that came with a lot of criticism, as many people felt he had nothing to prove. Finishing runner-up, he had more to lose than there was to gain. But Theo would break the all-time record by setting the largest ever F2 winning margin, won by 20 seconds and taking pole by 7/10 of a second. He would then undo all that good work by having a crash of Oliver Behrman in Jeddah, which would really set and really also changed his approach to this title, as he became a lot more conservative with the way he was driving, and he always tried to get better results, but never over pushed. And Theo picked up a lot of really good results and was second in the championship by the time we got to Silverstone, where it all changed. Frederick Vesti, the championship leader, crashed, got himself taken out. Theo got a double podium that weekend and clawed it back to just 6 points. And then in Belgium, it changed completely. Vesti crashed on the formation lap, where Theo went and took another podium, P2 at that time, and took the championship lead at the best possible time. They both had a non-score in a crazy, crazy, chaotic race in Zandvoort. And then Theo took pole in Monza. Vesti won the sprint race and then got himself taken out of the feature race as Theo took another podium to take a 25-point lead with only 39 still available. And then he just needed to go to the last round of the season and just picked up a really solid result, and he would be the F2 champion. But before that, there was a 2-month break, and in that break, Theo got to do some other things to do with motorsport. He got to drive on the famous Le Mans circuit, which usually WEC cars got to drive, but a big French racing event happened, and he got to participate in that, and he got to participate in another 2 FP1 sessions with Sauber. Really good experience it was from, and he really enjoyed it. But it was then back to the F2 title race, and he qualified 14th while Vesey was P9 and won the sprint race. Theo finished 7th, which means going into the last race of the season, all Theo needed to do was just pick up a P4 and he would win the championship. He ended up finishing P5 in the end, with Vesey finishing P3. Theo took the title by 11 points. Deservedly took the title away from Prema and Frederick Vesey. For 2024, Theo announced that he would be driving for Impel in Super Formula, but you just have that feeling that he deserves more. He deserves to be in Formula 1. He's good enough for Formula 1, and him not being there is a travesty, to be honest. Well, anyway, let me know what you all think. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.